In this example, example 3, we'll create an intensity map showing the locations, the prevalence of the location of graffiti throughout the city. To do this, let's start with the same old table, the 311 service request graffiti removal, and we will click on export because we're going to export all the data from the data portal into a file on my laptop, then turn around and import that into a Google Fusion table to generate the map. We'll do a download, and we have to select the file type. One of the file types that Fusion tables use is the CSV, or comma separated value, file type. If I right-click on that, I can then save the link or save the data that's downloaded into a file. And that will bring up the dialog box to let me give the file name, and I'm going to use a simpler file name than the portal creates. So we'll just call it graffiti. Click Save, and I can look down here at the bottom and see that the download is underway. And we're up to about 20 megabytes, and we're finished. So now, if I go over to Google Fusion Tables, this is the home page for that, for the Fusion Tables, and you can either type in the URL, or you could do, say, a Google search on Fusion Tables, and in the results list you could be able to click on the link to get there. Or I've also started an entry in the blog of important links, and you'll find a link to the Fusion Tables there. So one of those three ways will get you to this page. And we want to create a new table, and we'll import it. And from this page I need to choose the file, and I'm going to use graffiti, and we'll take the defaults, click Next, and it loads the file. So you can see down the lower left that the progress of the upload, and I'll pause the video while the upload finishes. And now the upload is almost finished. So it's all been moved up into Google, and now we have automatically switched to the next page, which is really Google's representation of the Fusion table, which looks a lot like the data portal table. But for this, we don't need all these columns, so I'm going to deselect a number of these columns. And I will leave those. And now we're actually setting up information about the new table. We can type where the data came from, and we can even put in the URL in case somebody wants to go back and look at our source. So I copied the link and I'll paste it here. We could make a new description, but I'll leave what has been filled in automatically, and type Finish, or click Finish. So we just finished uploading the data. Now we have to import it into a Google Fusion table. And the progress is shown up in the top. And again, this takes a while. You can watch the percent complete. You can also watch the rows. So we're up to about 8,000 rows, or almost 8,000 rows. I'm going to pause the video while it finishes importing. I'll be back when it finishes. All right, the data is almost finished on the import. You can look at the number of columns, or number of rows over here on the right. We're at 98% and about 99,000 rows. And let's wait till it gets 100%. There. So we're at 99,210 instances of graffiti. Now we have the table ready to do a visualization. And Fusion Tables has similar visualizations to what you can find in the data portal. Things like line charts, bar charts, pie charts, and scatter charts. Let's do a map first. So I click on Map. And we have to wait for the data to be geocoded. Okay, so this is a Google map with map locations for each piece of graffiti. This is much like what we saw in the data portal. If I click Display as a heat map, oh, and I could zoom in on this map and get down to a lower level to see the individual spots of graffiti just like I could on the portal. If I click on Display as heat map, this changes to a more interesting overview map. So you can see right away where the heavy red is, or where there's a lot of graffiti. Yellow is a little bit less, and green is fewer spots of graffiti, and no color shown is almost no graffiti. You can zoom in on this to see a little more detail. And you can notice this street has a lot of graffiti, and so does this area. I'll zoom in one more time. And as you zoom in, the red tends to disappear because it's not quite as intense, but you can still see these areas that have a lot of graffiti. So in summary, we took data from the portal, stored it on the laptop, we exported it out of the portal, stored it on the laptop, then imported it into a Google Fusion table and used Google's visualization tools, specifically the map and then the intensity map, to get a different view of that data.